Good evening to you. So glad you are here. Thank you for being willing to join and for being willing to hang out with me. This is Midweek Connection, and I am John Scott, your host. So glad you're here. I hope you've been enjoying the meditation so far this week. I certainly have. The Om and the Ah. In fact, let's do that for just a moment. We've been doing that all week. Receive a deep breath about 3 or 4 seconds in, and on the exhale, Om, and then the second breath, Ah. You ready? Here we go. Begin. Preparing for that second breath together, everybody. Begin. We take this moment right now to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Our hearts are open. Our minds are clear. We are grateful and we are thankful. We're honored to be in pure presence this evening. Spirit of truth, take from us what we don't need, bring to us what we do need. Our whole being, everything about us is surrendered to the purpose and the plan of divine presence. Guide and direct us. Lead us. Give us the ability to let go. Give us the will and the desire to let go. We trust you. We honor you. Pure presence within, rise up, rise up, rise up. Thank you for guiding and directing our lives. And so it is. And so it is. That feeling of pure bliss, I'm telling you, if you have missed our times together in meditation, you are invited to go and check out all of those meditations. They are right now in archive on Facebook and on YouTube, of course. And this meditation is fantastic. It was an experiment. I've never done this one before, but we're doing half of the meditation is Om. It's breathing in, Om. The other half is breathing in and Ah. And it's wonderful. It's been a blessing to me. I've actually utilized it throughout the day where I'll just stop. Ah. Just like a cool drink of water and allowing ourselves to just be in that pure presence space. Thank you for honoring me with being willing to hang out this evening. Also, you know what? Share this to your page. Share it with somebody in Messenger. Send the link through YouTube or through Facebook to somebody that you might know who may be interested in Tao Te Ching, or they're just interested in being inspired. This is a place to be inspired. So much information is going on in the world, and I much prefer inspiration. There's so much information. As I've mentioned to you before, I repeat this, but I want you to hear this. And too much information can cause inflammation of the soul and self. So you need inspiration to bring you into spirit and heal you, bring you into balance. So we are desirous of being in spirit more than being informed. There's so much information and data flowing around out there, and it's hard to even know, it's hard to even know what is true and what isn't. Many of us are in form more than we are in spirit. And my goal personally is to practice being in spirit most of all. We're looking at Tao Te Ching, verse 42 this week. And there's a couple of things that I noticed in it as I read it and studied it, and I want to bring those things out, but I want to read a couple of different translations first. One is actually a fairly long translation and a bit of commentary. This first translation is Stephen Mitchell, so I'll jump into it first. Verse 42 of Tao Te Ching. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. In another translation, it says 3 gives birth to the 10,000 things. I look at this and I go, okay, where does it end? Because 1 gives birth to 1. Now, second stanza. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. Then male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the Master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. Can I get a witness? Somebody. As we said this morning, it was a part of our mantra. I am one with Source. I am one. I and the Source are one. It's the same thing Jesus the Master said when he said, I and the Father are one. I and Source are one. And they got mad at him about it. Here's the reality. All of you who are watching this right now, you are already one with the Source. The reason often that religion gets angry about that kind of a message is because they want to be able to sell you their bill of goods because it's good for their business. I'm telling you, you're free. You don't need me. You don't need anyone else to teach you the truth. You just open yourself up to the reality of the truth that dwells within you. Now, am I thankful that I'm able to do this and inspire people and actually be able to make a living doing it? Sure, I'm very grateful for that. But I want you to know more than anything else that you already are free. You already are connected. You don't need me to connect you. You don't need another minister. You don't need a guru. You don't need another teacher. You are already free. You may not know it yet, and so we're working on that journey. Let's look at a couple of things in this, and I want to look at another translation of the 42nd verse. And again, this has a little more commentary, so bear with me. Makes it a little longer. Living the Tao way of life creates resonance and a life that is lived. Now see, when we first start out there, many of us think, what is the philosophy behind a life that is lived? Well, many people are just existing. I go back to Jesus the Master, who I love very much, when he said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Now, I don't believe that he shed his blood so that he could satiate his Father so his Father wouldn't be ticked off at you anymore and wouldn't send you to hell for eternity. When Jesus is talking about, I come that you might have life, he's talking about the message of the kingdom of God that is within you, and that brings you life. But here he says, living the Tao way of life creates resonance and a life that is actually lived. Resonance, possessed of its own momentum, creates difference. Difference, possessed of its own momentum, creates heaven, man, earth. The union of these three produces everything in the universe in a continuous wave that can be embraced and ridden by obliquely drifting within it. The ancient child asks, how can you drift with the universal? By precisely blending my body-mind's life force. This is a terminology that I like here. By precisely blending my body-mind's life force. In Stephen Mitchell's translation, it talks about ordinary men hate solitude, but the Master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. He says, when male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Here it says, by precisely blending my body-mind's life force. The ancient child asks, how can you blend the drift in the universe? Body must blend with mind. Mind must blend with will. Will must blend with life force. Life force must blend with spirit. Spirit must blend with engaged movement. Engaged movement must blend with the void. The void is a doorway that sits at the center of the universe. The ancient child asks, where is this doorway? Between the beats of my heart, between the in-breath and the out-breath, between the beats of a drum, between the decision and the initiation, between the intention and the action, between the words on this page. Drift and fly by standing still, feeling the continuity of the universe. There is nothing to worry about, No matter where life takes you, you are not alone, and you never have been. Sometimes, drift more and sometimes less. Sometimes stop and look around. Sometimes briskly fly from peak to peak. An authentic journey cannot be forced. It unfolds with jostles and bumps. It sways to and fro. This is the only way to live. Now, that is a wildly different translation than where this initially sent me. So I'm going to try to bring this back around to a few things that I notice that, at least for me, I'm being asked by Lao Tzu to do. One is to let go of all of my attachments. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but I mean actually let go of attachment to anything and anyone. Release all of those attachments. Live this life detached. Don't live this life trying to own anything. And merge your divine feminine and your divine masculine in complete harmony. Live in harmony is what I hear Lao Tzu saying in this. Live in harmony with what is. Be with it. Allow it to be with you. Don't live violently. That's a part of this that jumped out at me from this verse. To let go of all revenge, to let go of all violence, to release yourself from any violent speaking or acting, to allow yourself to be free, to be gentle, to be loving, to be compassionate, and to not promote or invest your life in anything that is violent. You know, one of the things that I intentionally trained my children to do as they've been growing up is I would hear them say things like, "Oh, I hate this phone." You know, when the device is not acting the way you think it's supposed to, or really it's just keeping you from doing what you wanted to do. So you blame it on the device when most of the time, it's user error. "Oh, I hate this phone." And I started teaching them, instead of saying the word hate, which I believe is a violent word, instead of saying hate, why couldn't you say, "I strongly dislike this phone right now"? Even got to the place where Rhett would do this, and he still does this to this day. He'll say, I strongly dislike. Because I believe hate is a violent word, and the end of hatred is always an act of violence, and it's opposite of love. So I don't even want the word hate to be in our vocabulary. I want harmony to be in our vocabulary. Let's replace the word hate with the word harmony. Letting go of the outcome is a way to live harmonious with the ebb and the flow of life itself, to be in the flow with the Tao, to be in that pure presence space. And then here's another thing that I noticed in this verse, and I want to speak to this because I think it's very important. All things have their backs to the female. In the original translation of this, it's speaking of yin, yang. In fact, that's the symbol that we see in Taoism, is yin, yang, male and female, divine male, divine masculine, divine female, divine feminine, okay? And in all things, in another translation on this, it says the male and the female are in all things. In fact, it says this: when male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Did you know there's a way for you as a male to get in touch with your feminine side? Have you heard that terminology before? It's actually very important. And it's extremely attractive when you come across somebody who has allowed themselves to be fully merged with both male and female. You see, the thing is that we're talking about aspects here. We're not talking about appendages. I'm not talking about the body itself. The physical body is here today, gone tomorrow. Your essence, though, has the characteristics of both male and female. And neither one is greater than the other. From a body standpoint, I've said for a long time that women are the stronger species. We've just come through Mother's Day, celebrating the divine feminine in that, and the mothering ability. The ability to birth life, literally birth life into this world, is a feat of strength. But there's a nurturing side. There is a patience that comes with femininity. There is the ability to see the good that comes with femininity. And most of the time, feminine overcomes masculine in just about anything. I just think the divine feminine is extremely powerful. But if you can find a way to merge those two and to bring both of those two into balance in your life, whether your physical body is male or female and you identify as the opposite or whatever it might be, here's the deal with identifying with this human body. The problem is that if you identify with the human body when it's not doing what you wanted it to do, then what? See, I don't identify necessarily as a male because I just don't have the need to. You know, on my birth certificate, it says male. On my driver's license, it says male. And most people know me as a man. People will say John Scott is a man of God. Or people will say John Scott is a false prophet man, a male. So he and him and all of the pronouns. And I know that that's all kind of been mixed up with folks. And folks are seeing a mixing of that. I think it's perfect. The universe is right on time to mix all of that up so that we can stop identifying with any of those things. I was speaking to one of my children just recently, and they were telling me that they themselves consider themselves to be pansexual. And my response to that was, what? You just saying it's going to all pan out? They didn't think that was funny. I was just trying to be funny and lighthearted about it. But they said, no, I can see how I could be attracted to a male and I could be attracted to a female at the same level of intensity. And I thought, how wonderful and how self-aware that is. And it was one of my children who's a teenager. How self-aware that is. Powerful. I wasn't even asked or invited into that at their age. And here we are so worried. I hear people so worried that the kids are going to get confused. Your kids are confused most of the time because you have been so stringent about forcing them to be what you think they should be, when in fact we all just need to land within the harmony of both the male and the female characteristics, the essence part. Not so worried about the body, the temporary body part, the essence, because when male and female combine, all things begin to achieve harmony. So, how do I come into a space of harmony? I let go of the outcome. I let go of the need to control the outcome. I let go of attachments, including my attachments to this physical, temporary body of mine. And I rise into, transcend, and transform into the perfect balance of the essence of both divine feminine and divine masculine. Ordinary men tend to hate solitude, but the Master makes use of it, embracing the aloneness, realizing that you are one with the whole universe. You want to bring yourself into a state of harmony? Let go of identifying with the wrong things. Let go of identifying with the temporary things. Let go of our violence toward each other and toward the world. You know, I just find it interesting how we talk about wanting to live at peace, but then we are so violently opposed to other people of a different stripe or type. Instead of spending your energy to oppose other people, spend your energy to stand for what you believe in. Instead of using your energy to talk how much you don't believe in something, give your energy to what you do believe in and come into that space of harmony. Ultimately, there is a pattern in the Tao Te Ching. There's a pattern of letting go, being with the flow, accepting, receiving, giving, being with. It's a pattern. And it's a pattern that I believe if we got into, we would live a much more peaceful and harmonious life. So the invitation tonight is this, that you come into a space, that you get back into a space of harmony with the Tao that is within you, and that you be at peace with that portion of who you are. I'm going to read this actually, because I had started to read this and I didn't finish it, so I don't know where this is going to lead us, but I won't hold you much longer. This was in a commentary from Stephen Mitchell in the back. He said, the Tao gives birth to one. When it's called one, it is no longer the Tao. When it's called the Tao, it is no longer the Tao. I know that's paradoxical for so many, but you can't actually name it. One gives birth to two. Oi. Two gives birth to three. Where will it end? Three gives birth to all things. I knew it. Now once more from the top, with feeling. One gives birth to the Tao, to two. Oi! Yeah, so you get the picture. When is it ever going to end? I knew it. This is constant flowing out, and the 10,000 things get born, and then we've got to deal with all of this stuff. He goes on to say, all things have their backs to the female, etc. Literally, the 10,000 things carry at their backs the yin and embrace in front the yang. Through the blending of the energy chi of these two things, they achieve harmony. The word qi in Chinese just means harmony, in the flow of. And so when you allow the yin and the yang to work within you, the male and the female, the essences of both, you bring yourself into a state of harmony. On the last stanza, he says he's improvised. People hate to be orphans, widowers, starvelings, yet kings and princes take these names as their titles. Therefore, sometimes you gain by losing, and sometimes you lose by gaining. What others have taught, I teach also. The violent will not die a natural death. I will make this the father of my teaching. And this is where I had gotten the idea from. I had misplaced the other translation about violence. In the original translation, it talks about how the violent will not die a natural death. If you choose to live violent, you're signing up for violence. If you choose savagery, you're signing up for a savage ending or a violent life, because you reap what you sow. The essence that you give your attention to, where your focus goes, your energy flows, and it expands. So in the original translation, it says, if you live violently, you will die violently, or you will not die of a natural cause. Therefore, sometimes you gain by losing, and sometimes you lose by gaining, and that's the portion of letting go. Don't hoard up. Don't try to own anything. Let me speak to that for just a moment. I also was trying to teach this to my children. I remember them fighting over something, and they were in the back seat, and one of them said to the other, "It's mine, that's why." And I popped in and I said, "Is it yours?" And he said, "Yes, it's mine." I said, "Really? Where did you get it from?" "Well, you got it for me." I said, "Oh, okay. So actually it's mine because I bought it." "Well, no, you gave it to me." I said, "Yeah, but I mean, if I really wanted to fight about it, I could say to you, give it back to me. I bought it." And he's like, "Well, that wouldn't be a gift then." I said, "Oh, I know that." I said, "But the truth is that nobody owns anything, bud. Nobody." I said, the moment that thing falls to the ground and breaks and no longer works, will you still want to own it? Nobody owns anything. Now, I understand that you want to control it, but let's talk a little bit about ownership. And folks, let me talk to you a little bit about ownership. You don't even own your body. People who have heart attacks that take their life, they didn't plan that. And if they owned their body, do you think they would have picked that to happen? But the heart stopped. It quit beating. You don't own your body. You don't own anything. I remember talking to a group of guys. I worked with the what's called the criminally insane. It's forensics within the state of Georgia mental health system. And we had these guys in a room, and we were talking about ownership and non-attachment. And I said, you don't own anything. And this gentleman spoke up. He was in his 60s, and he said, "Everything my name is on, I own." I said, "Do you?" And he said, "Yes, it's mine." And I said, "Do you own your name?" And he said, "Of course I own my name. It's my name." I said, "Really? So you're telling me there's no other Jessies in the world?" And I called his last name, but for privacy's sake, I won't hear. You're telling me there's no more Jessies in the world besides you? Well, I don't know. There may be somebody. I said, okay. And did you give your name to yourself? Or did someone name you? And how far back do we need to go before we finally realize I don't own what my name is on? I don't even own my name. Everything I have received in this life, even if I worked for it, where did it ultimately come from? I don't own anything. I've mentioned to you before that if you think you own your car, if you're still making payments on it, then the bank is holding the title, which means they actually technically own it. You're just renting to own. Once you have the title in hand, when the transmission decides to stop, you will no longer be moving forward. If the engine decides to blow up, it will no longer run. When it decides to stop running, it decides to stop moving, you will find out how much you don't own that thing. So, live in this life as a guest, and you'll live more grateful. Receive what comes to you with gratitude, and when it leaves you, let it go with gratitude, and you'll live a more thankful life. Maybe this is what we needed to get to this evening. Maybe this is the deep truth, really, in this whole thing. To live in harmony, I must let go. To live at peace, I must stop being violent. We can't bomb our way to peace. We can't shoot our way to peace. We can't harm others on our way to peace. Peace is possible when we make the choice to not be violent. Peace is possible when we make the choice to let go of the outcome, to stop trying to own anything, and to release ourselves to live the Tao way with pure presence. Okay, all right. I want to say thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for honoring me with being willing to show up. Thank you for loving. Thank you for your support. Thank you for studying the Tao with me. For those who are wondering about the Tao, you can pick this up really where any fine books are sold. This is the Stephen Mitchell translation. We dominantly use this one. It's a new English version of the Tao Te Ching, and it's really good. It really is. And you can pick this up on Amazon or anywhere fine books are sold. Go along with us on this journey. We're almost halfway through. Next week, actually, will be the halfway point because there's 81 verses in the Tao. And we invite you to continue to join. This Sunday, we will have our devotional time in our Sunday Connection at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. At 11:30 a.m., you are asked and invited to join us for New Thought Church, First Unity, in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I will be stationed officially as the lead minister, as the spiritual leader there. That will happen in June the 1st. But they are having services now, and wonderful singers, wonderful speakers, and the service there is 11:30. Go to firstunity.org and you will locate all of the information about us there. Meditation tomorrow, don't miss it. Don't miss it. You want to be a part of this Om and Ah meditation. I almost call it ooh and ah. It is that though. Join us tomorrow morning. And I want to say thank you to those who continue to give, and the giving slide is not wanting to come up right now, so I'm looking for it really quickly here so that you can have that information. Thank you for those who continue to sustain this community through your giving. Thank you for those who continue to be willing to share your gifts with us. Right now, the P.O. Box is P.O. Box 564, Gray, Georgia 31032. We have PayPal and we have Venmo. Another way for you to give is to go online to iamonelove.com. That's iamonelove.com. And on that space, you will find that there's a click and go opportunity. As soon as you sign into the website, you will find that there will be a pop-up and you can click and go to our digital ways of giving. If you use Cash App, or Zelle, and you prefer those, and you want that information, I do have personal accounts in those, and I will make sure that it goes to our One Love community. Thank you so much. This helps to support us and the continued support, even once we get to St. Petersburg. I mean, we're continuing the One Love Consciousness movement. We're just bringing it right alongside of First Unity, and we're marching together into this world, bringing and elevating the consciousness of love. I love you all. Now go and make it a great rest of the evening and the rest of the week. Peace.